This is Rob Powell, and today in Tacx Turbo Talks we're talking to Tiffany Cromwell from SRAM about the OVO Energy Women's Tour. Alright, it's Thursday the 13th of June. It's about an hour after the finish of stage 4 of the OVO Energy Women's Tour. And on the line is Tiffany Cromwell from SRAM, and her teammate just got a stage win. There must be still a lot of excitement going on there, Tiffany. Welcome.
Yeah, definitely. It was a perfect day for our team. We couldn't have asked for better race and better finish. It's one of those rare times when the plan came together. Every single rider in the team did their job, and then for Kazia to win was, just incredible. We had full confidence in her today, and the finish was the style that suits her most. And yeah, definitely a lot of happy faces after the finish.
Is there already now a big plan for the next 2 days to get the overall win, or?
Yeah, definitely. That's always been the overall goal. Kazi's always been the best chance for that. And, we've first been focusing on the stages and taking it day by day, and then, seeing how it goes. But the plan has always been to then start to push for the overall, and we knew the last 3 days were going to be the major point for that. So I think we're going to have our work cut out tomorrow, but I think the confidence from today is, going to help a lot with that, and we're all ready to fight.
And how did you guys come back after maybe a disappointment yesterday of losing Elena?
Yeah, it was really sad. She's obviously a strong part of the team, but that's bike racing, and it was a bit of a shitty situation. But at the same time, I think it almost motivated us more, to say, okay, yeah, we don't have Eleanor, but at the same time, we still have 5 of us healthy and strong, and we want to give it our all, and go out there and do what we got to do and get to business. So, and I think gave us a bit of extra power maybe today, knowing that we're doing it for Eleanor.
And how would you describe the overall feeling in the peloton about this stage race, a 6-day stage race? Today was also the first time they had a hilltop or mountaintop finish in this stage race. How would you describe the feeling in the peloton about this race?
Yeah, there's always a lot of excitement out the women's tour. They do a very good job. It's a very professionally run tour. They go all out to, run at the highest level, TV coverage, great crowds. You always have the school kids along the route as well. Everyone's always excited to come here and to perform and to get the big results. So, we definitely love to come to the UK and come and race here and put our best foot forward. So, I don't know if there's anyone in the peloton that does not enjoy coming to this race.
And especially, like you said, a lot of kids alongside of the roads. How does that make you feel in terms of being maybe an inspiration for those kids?
Yeah, it's nice. And anytime you get the crowds on the side of the road, it always pumps you up. But then when you see all the school kids screaming, I think, it's cool for them. They get to take a little bit of time off the school, and, we hope with them being able to see us does give them those aspirations to either, get into cycling or, to strive to reach, whatever they want to do in their life. And, if we can be an inspiration to them, it's amazing. And yeah, it's nice that they can get so close to the action as well.
How would you compare that to maybe when you started cycling as a youngster? Because you're a seasoned pro now. And if you compare that experience, was there something for you that you could be alongside of the road and cheer your heroes on? Or?
Yeah, I was very lucky coming out of Adelaide. We had the Tour Down Under. So for me, that was kind of my first introduction to cycling when I first came through the Talent ID program. But at the same time, we didn't have women's racing back then. So for me, it was cool to kind of be able to get up close and personal with the professionals. But, they were all the guys. So obviously, for any young girls out there on the schools, I think it's nice that they can, see women's racing at the absolute highest level. And I think that's really cool because that's something I didn't have growing up. But, I've quite spoiled with Adelaide having the Tour Down Under to get, the same kind of experience. But at the same time, there's not so many races, I'd say, where there's that opportunity for young riders coming through to get so close to their, sporting heroes.
What would you think now about the direction that women's cycling is heading at the moment?
I think it's a really exciting time, I've seen the sport grow so much over the last 10, 15 years. When I first came into the professional ranks, it was really, there weren't so many big teams. The professionalism was pretty low. It was very hard to make a living, and there was zero TV coverage. Whereas, every year we're seeing greater growth within the sport, like the push, to have a World Tour League, to have minimum standards within teams, to make it a truly professional sport. And we're seeing more women being able to have, careers out of it and longer time within the sport as well. And the teams, operating at a much higher level, and just the level of the racing is so high now. Like, I've never seen it at this high, where you can't go to a race half done. You have to be on top form if you want to be competitive. And it's an exciting time within the sport.
And maybe also, I think for you as professionals, getting a lot of people on bikes, and maybe that's one of the reasons, obviously, while in this OVO Energy Women's Tour, with your team, with Kenya SRAM, there's a lot of things special, to activate women on cycling. The team, I think, has swapped out Kenyan bikes, the Rafa kit, the Giro helmets, the Oakleys, all for one special reason, right?
Yeah, definitely. At the end of the day, we do this sport because it's, our profession, but we also love it. But at the same time, we want to be able to give back to the community. And part of that is, trying to inspire children onto bikes. And obviously, we also want to inspire more women into riding to get that side of the sport much bigger, because for a long time it has been, I guess you could say, a bit of a man's sport or, old boys club, whereas times are changing. And we've done this special limited edition kit in conjunction with Rafa, because every year they hold the Women's 100. This year it's in September 14th, off the top of my head, where, they encourage women all around the world to get out there and challenge themselves to ride 100K, because, to us 100K is, we do that quite regularly, but for the average person, like, that's a big deal. And, we want to be able to take out that fear to say, okay, it's fine, you can do it. Like, it's a challenge, but at the same time you get some good people around, and just to really enjoy what's so amazing about cycling, whether you do it by yourself, whether you do it with your friends, do some coffee stops, like join one of the global events that Rafa put on at the various clubhouses, and that's what we really want to encourage, just to let people understand how amazing cycling is, and, how beautifully sport can be. Like, it's not just a racing side, but just, from getting out there and enjoying the countryside.
And how could women get involved for this Rafa 100? Because they did, the 14th September, as you said.
Yeah. So if you head over to rafa.cc, there's a section there for the Women's 100, and there's various groups, various events all around the world that you can try and find one that's close to where you're living, or otherwise just make your own. Get some friends together, say, hey, let's go and ride 100K. Let's meet at the coffee shop, or let's meet at the bridge or something. And we just want to see women getting out there and completing 100K. So it's quite easy to get involved, and a lot of different options. If you don't have anything locally, you can reach out to people out there.
Do you already know where you'll be riding on the 14th of September?
Off the top of my head, I might be racing to Ravadesh. I have a feeling that's that time. But if I'm not, then I'll be in the south of France. So hopefully, if I'm not racing, then I'll definitely put it out there if anyone wants to come riding with me. Come do 100K in the lovely mountains behind Nice and Monaco.
And or else, hopefully, in the Ardèche will be a stage that is at least 100K then for you guys.
Exactly.
What's next for you after this OVO Energy Women's Tour? I think the Giro Rosa might be on your calendar, or?
Yeah, exactly right. So for me, I'm lucky that my nationals are all done in January, while the rest of the peloton will be dealing with that. So I have 2 weeks at home, 2.5 weeks at home to train and get prepared for the Giro Rosa. So that'll be the next one of mine. 10 days of very, very mountainous racing this year. So looking forward to that. I've done quite a few of them these days, so it's always a staple in my calendar. And then La Course by the Tour de France after the Giro. So it's a few good races to look forward to.
Would you say those are now getting two of like the biggest races for the women as well in women racing? Or yeah, definitely. Like, I'd say the Giro's always been held in high regard because it's really our only version of a Grand Tour. It's the longest tour that we have on the calendar, and it's one that a lot of people target. But La Course is definitely another one that's getting bigger each year and, has global coverage. And again, a lot of teams put it as a race that they want to win. But at the same time, I think we've got so many great races now. Like, I'd say even the Women's Tour now is probably one of the highest regarded races, outside of, say, some of the spring classics that
are also quite big for a lot of teams. But yeah, we're lucky that now there's a lot of great races on the calendar, that are held at the highest level.
And what's your own role in the team for these races?
For the Giro, I'm going to say quite often I'm riding as the team road captain. So the one with the experience of making the calls and keeping the team together and motivated and making the calls if we ever need to make them on the road. But definitely I'll be playing a support role in the Giro. It's not the best course that suits me for the most part. So helping into the lead into the mountains and that. But, if there's an opportunity for a breakaway or a stage, then certainly we'll get opportunities there. But the course is a big goal for me, hopefully be able to take a chance there with my teammates and have a really dynamic race. So it's a good one-day race. It's quite up and down, which suits the characteristics of the type of rider that I am. So that's a personal goal for me to try to do something there and, have some fun racing with the team.
And after that, if you look further ahead after the season or maybe even towards next season, already other goals lined up for you or?
Yeah, I've got a few, big goals in there. So the whole season this year is working towards, obviously, World Championships in Yorkshire. For me, I've been a bit up and down with performance over the last couple of years, but, saying to come back to my best. So I want to get some results on the board again. And then next year is all about Tokyo. I'm yet to go to an Olympics. So that's been a big goal. Like, I already saw the course last year in November. And, so we're kind of slowly but surely doing the right steps, trying to perform in the right races where I need to try and gain selection and, try and be a part of a very strong Australian team to go for gold there.
And does Tokyo have like a sort of a special place in your heart as you've traveled to Japan to cycle a couple of times?
Yeah, Japan for me is one of my favourite countries in the world, Tokyo and the surrounds, because the course itself actually isn't really in Tokyo. It starts in the suburbs and goes out to like the edge of Fuji, but that area, the Hakone region, is just stunning. Like, I've been lucky to ride around there before, and it's a beautiful place. The people are just the most generous and helpful and kind people. So definitely for me, it's like an Olympics I'd definitely love to go to, and I love that country and visiting any chance that I can. So I've been there 3 times already, and hope there'll be some more trips out there.
So hopefully Tokyo 2020 will be at least the 4th time for you that you'll get there.
Exactly.
Traveling, one of your passions, and maybe one of your other passions is food, as a lot of people already seem to know also on the social medias. So also the Tacx Turbo Talk fan question of the week is about food. Benny Goodman was wondering, Nutella bread with or without butter?
Without. I would never put butter with Nutella. No way. If you go do Nutella, just all out, smack on all the chocolate spread. I never pair it with butter. Vegemite with butter, yes, but not Nutella.
Yeah, Vegemite is not for everyone on bread, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So one more thing about food, because a lot of people also interested in a recipe for banana bread, apparently. And you have a secret one, right?
Yeah, well, I guess it's become a bit infamous. I wouldn't say it's secret because it's on my website. But yeah, I love to make banana bread. I think a lot of bike riders love to make it. It's a great one that's, for both breakfast time or for your back pocket for rides. I found a recipe years ago on the back of a Quaker oats pack when I was in America. And, it's got a mix of like oats and a lot of banana in there and bits and other pieces. I found it was just a really moist and heavy one. And over time, I kind of developed it, refined the recipe to make it slightly more healthy. And yeah, for me, it's one of my favorite things to do when I have spare bananas. So you can find that on my website, which is tiffanycromwell.cc in the recipe area. And it's such an adaptable recipe too. Sometimes I put nuts in there, sometimes I put chocolate chips, sometimes I put nut butter in the middle when I cook it. It's the beauty with banana bread. Like, as long as you have the base recipe, it's very adaptable, whether you want, it to be calorific or you want it to be slightly on the lighter side and, not full of a heap of energy.
Yeah, so definitely for that infamous banana bread of Tiffany, go check out her website. Is there anything that you experimented with in terms of food during the race? Because obviously maybe the racing food might be a bit boring every now and then. What's the craziest thing that you've maybe eaten on the bike?
In racing, I can't say I've really eaten anything super crazy because, normally like our team look after all of our nutrition. They do a great job in, we always have our sports nutrition partner, which is Science and Sport, but then they'll often make, little treats like paninis with jam or like speculoos or like filly and nuts and stuff like that. Training though, I then sometimes play around, but more sweets, but I can't think of anything I've done crazy. Like I've done things, I don't know, like ricotta brownies or that. Or actually when I'm in Japan, there's some pretty awesome stuff you can have for race food or training food so there's 7-Elevens everywhere. But there's these little like sushi things that you can make where it's like literally like a packet with rice in there and it's like got the seaweed and whatever else. And they're actually amazing for training food. Like many times when I've been out in the middle of nowhere and I'll be like, yep, there's a 7-Eleven or a Family Mart, like they're the best fuel.
Oh, wow.
And also not too sweet because sometimes the sweetness, you get a bit over it. But yeah, that one I'd say is probably maybe a little bit more off-center that I haven't had in the past. But otherwise, sometimes I'll park up for a proper lunch or when it's, the pre-season where you just got to do long rides and you're like, all right, I don't want to ride for 5 hours and not stop. So, I'll find a good cafe or something. But yeah, definitely experimented more when I've been in places like Japan or Taiwan or somewhere like in Asia where they got all this weird and quirky type food.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've got to close it off here because we're taking too much of your time. You need your recovery as well after just coming off the longest stage in the OVO Energy Women's Tour. 2 big days coming up. Wishing you all the best and thanks heaps for coming on.
No worries. Thanks for having me and looking forward to the last few days.
All right.
Get this done and hopefully we can take the jersey.
Hopefully Kasia can keep that jersey and keep it. Sorry, she doesn't have it yet. She needs to grab it.
We'll get it.
You'll get it. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Thanks, Tiffany, for jumping on. And thank you, obviously, for listening to a new episode of the Tacx Turbo Talks. Don't forget, you can always get your fan questions in for a guest next week. And also, don't forget to subscribe, rate, review the Tacx Turbo Talks podcast. This was Rob Bauer with Tiffany Cromwell from Canyon SRAM. Stay tuned for a new Tacx Turbo Talks next week.